North Korea is in a bromance love triangle with Russia and China. So what would happen if China invaded Taiwan? Well, there's a reason they call them world wars. Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Chris Chappell. Would North Korea take advantage of or even aid a Chinese invasion of Taiwan? The chances of the answer being a yes are probably as high as North Korea's winning streak in a game of hungry North Koreans. Fun for the whole family that's been wiped out by starvation. If only North Korea could realize its fantasies of world domination in a game rather than engage in real-life war. Well, it could with today's sponsor, Conflict of Nations. In this game, you get to come up with strategies, build an army, fight in battles to dominate your opponents. Conflict of Nations is a free player versus player online strategy game, which you can play on your computer or mobile device. You get to pick a real country to represent as you fight to win World War III. You get to build up your military-industrial complex, do research and development, and build weapons just like North Korea is doing in real life, which I'll get to in this episode. In Conflict of Nations, though, you get to actually fight, which I hope you won't have to do in real life. At any rate, check out the game. Conflict of Nations has a special gift for America Uncovered viewers. Click the link below and get 13,000 gold plus 1 month of premium subscription for free. But the offer is only available for 30 days, so click below. So, back to real life, in which North Korea is an X factor in the potential setup for World War III, just like in the game. I'd say the world is walking on eggshells around North Korea, but that would imply North Korea has enough food for its citizens to leave eggshells lying around. North Korea's relationship with Russia and China are particularly, let's say, worrisome. U.S. intelligence reports in late 2022 revealed that Russia had been buying North Korean artillery to fuel its Ukraine invasion. According to the Daily NK, that's still going on. And the Daily NK goes on to say that North Korea is selling Russia automatic rifles from its old stockpiles as well. Even Russian proxies are benefiting from North Korean support. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg warns that North Korea has been delivering rockets and missiles to the Russian Wagner Group. In return, according to Daily NK sources, North Korea received wheat, gas, and oil, as well as blueprints and process charts for nuclear tech. Is that accurate? Well, the information is consistent with Russia's own reports of grain exports, including wheat and corn. And this also aligns with UN reports on Russian fuel exports to North Korea after the pandemic hiatus. As for that last bit, the International Atomic Energy Agency chief is skeptical that Russia will share nuclear technology with North Korea in light of treaty obligations, because surely Russia cares about abiding by international law. There are reports that a new arms deal might be in the works, and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un's recent visit to Russia has everyone a bit on edge. While there, Kim inspected Russian nuclear-capable bombers and hypersonic missiles. And there are fears that his trip to Russia might also help him put spy satellites in orbit. It also raised fears he might get into shirtless horseback riding. Ugh. If North Korea is supporting Russia in a conflict on the other side of the world, then think about how much more likely it is that North Korea would support China in a conflict much closer to home. Last year, South Korean Foreign Minister Park Jin warned lawmakers that North Korea would capitalize on a fight over Taiwan by engaging in more provocative behavior. No, I don't mean this kind of provocative. Even liberals would boycott this drag show. I mean this kind of provocative behavior. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol shared the same warning.
In the case of military conflict around Taiwan, there would be increased possibility of North Korean provocation. Therefore, in that case, the top priority for Korea and the U.S.-Korean alliance on the Korean Peninsula would be based on our robust defense posture. We must deal with the North Korean threat first.
It makes sense that the South Korean president would want the U.S. to focus on North and South Korea rather than China and Taiwan. But South Korea shouldn't forget about China. If war breaks out between the U.S. and China over Taiwan, it's possible that China will preemptively strike South Korea. There are a whole bunch of bases with U.S. troop presence all throughout South Korea. Although the bases there mainly consist of ground forces and fighter jets that aren't within operational range of the Taiwan Strait, there's at least one base that might come into China's crosshairs. That would be the Jeju Naval Base, where an American nuclear submarine arrived earlier this summer. According to a 2013 report by a U.S. officer, during a conflict in the Taiwan Strait, Jeju-based U.S. ships, submarines, and aircraft could easily intercept North Sea Fleet units heading south and harass the flank of the East Sea Fleet. On top of that, U.S. Forces Korea Commander General Paul LaCamera said in 2021 that the USFK can support out-of-area contingencies, and that opportunities are emerging for Korea-U.S. alliance cooperation beyond the Korean Peninsula. For China, all that makes Jeju Base a definite threat and an awfully tempting target. But the problem with world wars is that you can never worry about just one opponent at a time. China and North Korea are allies. So even if China doesn't attack Jeju Naval Base, North Korea might. I'll tell you more after the break. Welcome back. China is a threat to South Korea as much as it is a threat to Taiwan. If China decides to invade Taiwan, it could also attack South Korea, along with other neighbors like Japan and Guam. This wouldn't be the first time China got involved in a war against South Korea. The People's Liberation Army of China supported North Korea during the Korean War, but a lot has changed since then. North Korea is on its third consecutive Kim and its seventh nuclear test. A Chinese invasion of Taiwan could be the perfect opportunity for North Korea to strike all on its own. According to Asia Kyungjae, in the event of a war in Taiwan, U.S. troops in South Korea are likely to be deployed, and security experts predict that North Korea will launch an armed provocation taking advantage of the security vacuum on the Korean Peninsula. An armed provocation? You mean an attack? But it's more than just a security vacuum. North Korea could attack to aid China. North Korea and China have had an alliance treaty since 1961, a treaty they renewed in 2021. Boy, communists sure do love to stick together. Must be all that sticky honey Xi Jinping's been eating. And the bases in South Korea are a threat to both North Korea and China. Even though it'd be up against the much stronger South Korean military, North Korea could rationalize attacking the South if it believed that China had its back, just like in the early years of the Korean War. So what would North Korea use in an armed provocation against South Korea? It has several tools at its disposal. The most obvious are its ballistic missiles, including the nuclear-armed ones. When the U.S. sent its aircraft carrier, the USS Nimitz, to South Korea for military exercises earlier this year, North Korea test-fired 2 missiles. North Korea does a lot of ballistic missile tests, but this was the first time that North Korea did one when an American aircraft carrier was deployed to the Korean Peninsula. Some think it's ridiculous to expect North Korea to attack the U.S. or South Korea. But let me remind you that North Korea bombarded one of South Korea's islands in 2010. Aside from the thousands of land-based ballistic missiles and artillery already aimed at South Korea, North Korea is rolling out things like its new Amnok-class corvette, which can potentially have nuclear-armed cruise missiles. There's also North Korea's first ever nuclear attack submarine, which experts say is likely a remodeled Soviet Romeo-class submarine that can hold up to 10 nuclear missiles. North Korea wants to make its Navy a component of the state nuclear deterrence. Now, these weapon systems may or may not meet modern military standards, but that's besides the point. By North Korean standards, they're definitely an improvement. Just their very presence can put South Korea and the U.S. on the defensive. Along with their arsenal of rocket launchers that appear as civilian trucks. Because why build trucks to transfer food around the nation when you can use them as secret weapons? Like China, North Korea is not above weaponizing the civilian sector to conduct war. There's also North Korea's hypersonic missile program, which could get a boost from Russian support. North Korea is a wild card. That's why South Korea needs to be part of deterring China from invading Taiwan in the first place. according to a September 2022 Morning Consult poll. A majority of South Koreans do believe that the U.S. should counter China militarily and economically if it invades Taiwan, but they're much less inclined to believe South Korea should do the same, which I get. When I hear people fighting outside my window, I often think, man, someone should do something about that. Someone who isn't me. Many don't want to get on China's bad side, especially when money is on the line. But as South Korean President Yoon said, the Taiwan issue is not simply an issue between China and Taiwan, but like the issue of North Korea, it is a global issue. And this episode is sponsored by Conflict of Nations, because in World War III, you never know what's going to happen. And when you play Conflict of Nations, well, you'll see. No matter which country you represent in the game, it'll be challenging, fun, and epic. Remember, click the link below and get 13,000 gold plus 1 month of premium subscription for free. The offer is only available for 30 days. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. Thanks for watching America Uncovered.